that lessons that I learned, and reasons also. You asked me why I would have run, why I decided to run. And for me, again, it's not a career path by any stretch of the imagination. There are just issues that I care deeply about that I've talked about already, like local food and local clean energy, dealing with climate change, affordable housing, transportation. These are all things that are near and dear to my heart, and to a lot of things that I know that we need to deal with as a society. And so with our city looking at municipalization, and with our city looking at promoting more local food, and considering a citywide eco-pass, and looking at a lot of affordable housing issues, these were all issues that I felt like if I was on council I could help with. And I knew that if I ran also, that just having my voice in the debate would make a difference, and I feel like it did. So that was really good. Yeah, and I'm happy to say that a lot of the people who were elected to office share those values too. So I'm really pleased with who's on council now, and I feel like they'll do a good job of steering us in the direction that I think I would have steered us in as well as a city. So that's good. You asked about influential people that supported my run for office. There are several people who I really respect who encouraged me to run, or like I said, I would have probably never thought of it. People like former city council members and a former mayor, and there was a wonderful wife of a council member who just basically gave me a brain dump and gave me information about, tasks that need to be that you need to do, a timeline, budget. I mean, without all of that, I honestly, again, don't think I could have done it. So you had mentioned a training. What if we trained our young women? And I think absolutely. I mean, it's a daunting thing just emotionally to have the confidence to do. And so I think certainly if there was some way to train more women and more people like this wife of the council member that I mentioned, stepping forward and helping, I just feel like it's absolutely essential. There are also a lot of people who knew the history of the issues that I don't know, who stepped forward to help me with answering questionnaires and figuring out the background on issues that would have taken me eons to have done just reading and research. So, and having a strong network of people to help me was so important. And of course, having a supportive family. My husband was really supportive. He said it before I've ever heard anybody else say it, that he thinks we need to have, at this point in history, more women in leadership roles, especially in elected offices, running the world, because otherwise we're going to continue going down the path that we're on, which is a very destructive, unsustainable path. Obstacles that I encountered, you mentioned. There was so much to learn and so many issues, and then the campaigning itself, so the brain dumps that I mentioned from people who had done it was really, really important. Meeting with city staff and community business and nonprofit leaders, those meetings really helped me learn a lot very quickly, and reading a lot, of course. Asking for help, there's absolutely no way that you can do it all yourself, and so having people who would help me, from friends who didn't have a clue about campaigning but were willing to help me to get yard signs out, and were willing to help me organize distributing literature, and just going with me and walking neighborhoods and that sort of thing was really, really important. And then being willing to ask for help, which I've always kind of had a hard time, which is funny because I've always worked for nonprofits and had to work with volunteers constantly, but I still kind of have a chip on my shoulder about asking people for help. I try and do as much as I can myself, which I think is really great if you can just get over that, if you feel like that, if you're that kind of person, and be willing. Because there was a man who I know who was running with me, and a girlfriend of mine who was doing both of our yard signs, she was like, oh man, he's running me to the ground, he's telling me, go take a sign there, go there, and and whereas I was like, do you mind? And so I think, again, sometimes as women we're a little hesitant to ask. We're not, I think this is a problem with women, that a woman is considered bossy if she's asking for help, whereas with a man, if he did the same thing, it would just be the norm and totally fine. And so I think trying to get over some of those cultural things and not be afraid to ask for help is really important. And then sticking to your gut, that was another obstacle. There are situations that I got in where people offered and insisted upon doing things that ended up not working out well at all, and my gut had told me to do it myself. There's also the flip side, where sometimes something's not going to work out right, but somebody's insistent, and just kind of sticking with your gut, because it ended up creating a burned relationship, and so I think in some situations, which added a huge amount of emotional stress. So I think, you know, sometimes sticking with your gut when you know something needs to be a certain way is also important. And so, yeah, things I'd change, you know, yeah, sure, maybe adding my middle name, the more feminine one would have been something, asking for more help. Starting to walk neighborhoods sooner. I kind of waited around for some other folks that I thought I'd walk with, and they waited till later. I really wish I'd started sooner because I have kids. Nobody else had kids. Well, I'll take that back. One guy had kids, but having children, you know, my time is a lot less. I'm having to help run them here and there, and so I think I should have started meeting people a lot sooner. That would have helped. But, you know, even though it's something I learned that is, even though I didn't win, I know I did a lot of good. As I said, I know I inspired a lot of people. They kept coming up and telling me that. And so, and I was able to have more influence on things that I care about, like local food and being invited to the working group and being able to create the Edible Landscapes Committee and things like that that I probably wouldn't have ever done otherwise. So those are a few things.
Micah, can you say something?